Woohoo! And we're live once again on another Tuesday. And I have a long overdue guest on my show today, the one and only Gabe Leal. He is here and we're talking on an awesome topic. Our topic today is all about avoiding content burnout or fatigue and staying creative on LinkedIn. So before we get stuck in, Gabe, can you please just introduce yourself, tell people who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So my name is Gabe Leal. I am a live stream creator and strategist. I am somebody who has always been about not only using video, but also telling your story through using live video. That's why I've always been a big proponent of people who want to get on and create. And I just kind of help them, guide them through finding what it is that they want to share what we're talking about here in creating content. But for me as an individual, I've always been somebody who's come from a place of having a creative heart and wanting to share whatever my gifts are with as many people as I possibly can, and helping, even if it's just one individual. That's what I love to concentrate on. So generally that's me in a nutshell. And, I love live video. I've done over 500 live streams. I've been a live stream creator on the LinkedIn platform since 2019. Being a content creator is just something that I guess it's been instilled in my heart, and it's always something that's still there, even when I'm away from it. So that's me in a nutshell. Thank you so much.
I love it. I love it. And this is an important topic because I believe that content fatigue, content burnout, it happens to so many of us. And yet I think most people go, oh, that was just me. Like there's this sort of pressure of like, we couldn't ever admit that sometimes we'll sit here and go, I got nothing. Yeah, I got nothing today. Or this is, if I have to do another post, and we all can deal with this. And like you said, before we went live today, you said, this is something that can happen to the creator and the consumer. And I was like, whoo, light bulb moment. So can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because that was just like, great.
Absolutely. So as you know, most of us see social media when we look at it from the perspective of being a consumer first. We watch Instagram reels, we go on Facebook, we see posts, we see things that just kind of, depending on where you are mentally, emotionally, some of those things can strike a chord. It can either cause you to say, you know what, I feel inspired, I feel I want to change, or you feel the exact opposite of it and you feel the negativity coming across. So we start seeing content over and over and over again. And it's, again, all these algorithms, all these platforms, they push us to go and want to consume. I mean, that's what its intent is to, when you become a creator, is you want people to consume whatever you're creating. And it's the same thing when you're consuming and watching and seeing videos and everything else, or reading posts. One of the first things that you get when you sign up for any of these social media platforms is the ability to get push notifications, so that anytime somebody you're following, or the whole reason just behind it. So when you start seeing content over and over and over and over again, and you start getting comparatively looking at it, how it reflects in your own life, I think that's where people find it and say, you know what, I got to put my phone down. I got to delete all the apps off my phone. I got to go find peace again, or I got to go get centered, or, because again, you can continuously watch and watch and watch so many things, but those things, whether you know it or not, emotionally, like, plant a little seed subconsciously in your mind, and you start looking at things in your own life, and introspectively you start going, oh my gosh, I don't know, my life just doesn't seem as well as Jane's. I see Jane on social media and she's all over, and she's in France and she's wherever, and you start looking at things in your life and you go, oh my gosh, my life is just not that good. And that's not the case. So that's why I say, as a consumer, sometimes getting burnout, you watching it over and over again, sometimes it's where you say, you know what, I just got to step away from it all. I've done it where as a perspective from a content creator, when I walked away, I also knew as a consumer, I had to walk away and I had to just take everything off of my phone, delete all the apps off of there. I'll tell you what, folks, it's refreshing. It's like, for those who maybe don't want to do this, but it's the thing where you might have left your phone at home or something and you forgot it and you just out in the world, and all of a sudden, you know what? You're not getting phone calls. You're not getting text messages. You're not getting emails. Yeah, you might have a little bit of a worry, but then there's also a little bit of freedom. You know, wow, I don't have to worry about it. So as a consumer, I always say that when you watch what you follow on social media, it's going to weigh on you emotionally. It just does, because that's who we are as human beings. We watch it for a reason, whether we want it learn through education, whether we want to just feel the endorphins of a good story, or just we're doomsayers sometimes, and the negativity that comes across in our minds weighs there, and we go and see it and look for it. And that's why, like, seeing it over and over and over again, that's why I tell anybody who's on social media, you got to understand that there's a pendulum that can swing either way, and there's a balance in either watching it or even creating it. So that, as a consumer, I just, like I said, taking in it all the time and watching it too much, it's like, wow. I'm one of those people that just sits down sometimes and says, I want to read a book. I mean, it's a reason they're still written. It's still a reason they're still sold, and it's still a reason people go buy them. It's a way to step away from everything else, and you're learning, you're imagining, you're traveling, you're doing adventures all through words. So I still love that part about it. But yeah, I'm as a content creator myself, I've learned the value of both. Learning when and where to walk away from these sort of things.
I love it. I love it. And I've actually seen negative results of when people hit content fatigue and burnout. And I've seen people literally like just burn it all down. They'll burn their whole business down. They don't just walk away and take a time out. They just shut it all down because they have gone so far with that. And I think we have to recognize, what are the signs that we are burning out as consumers? What are the signs we're burning out as creators? And then what are the proactive things that we can do? So, like, as a consumer, curate your feed. It's like, go and be intentional about who you're going to follow, what content you're going to allow into your brain. We can turn it off, folks. So that's important, right? And have, I love Kevin D. Turner calls it a digital detox, where it's like you need to take time. And I don't post. I'm not on LinkedIn, 24/7. It's like sometimes I feel I am, but I'm on late at night. I'm a night owl. So, all those Brits are waking up. I'm chatting with Brits. It's 11 o'clock at night, but I'm not chatting with people at 6 o'clock in the morning because I live in, the West Coast. Yeah. But I don't like to go on the weekend. Some people do social Saturday. That's not for me. But there might be people that say, I only do social Saturday because I don't go on social media during the week. I save it for the weekends. So you have to, don't you think it's all really, at the end of the day, whether you're a creator or a consumer, it's about self-care?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what this is. There's
a balance. That's why I said there's a balance between finding what works for you and what becomes too much. The saying goes, too much of a good thing, right, can be bad. And it's absolutely true when we're doing digital content, what we're creating here now. And just speaking on terms of now from being a creator, the perspective of somebody who has to constantly say, I'm going to create a post, I need to create something to add value. When you start hearing people on social media, and especially influencers and strategists, they're going to tell you the keys to growing on social media are consistency and posting all the time and doing all these. That's great, right? And they'll tell you about content calendars. They'll give you ideas. The problem is, once we start intuitively adding our own creativity into what we want to do, because, you can just take anything from just about anywhere, copy, paste, create a post, put it in there, boom, boom, you're done. But then there's also the part of you that when you're actually wanting to create, that has to come from an original thought, an original idea. Something has to come out of you. And I say, like, when writers hit a wall and they get writer's block and they just can't seem to get what they want out, the thing they tell them to do is to walk away from it. Go do something else. Same thing here as a content creator. You start creating content and you go, okay, I need to start doing this. I have my community that I share with. I start doing other things. And then all of a sudden you start feeling this overwhelming feeling of that you always have to be on point. You always have to add some kind of value. You have to have something that's going to strike a chord. And my belief is that, you do when you're creating, but there's also coming to a point where you have to reserve some of that energy and those things for yourself. You have to pull some of those things back for you. You share 100% of yourself to the world, your soul's going to be drained. You are not going to have nothing. You're going to feel the effects of content fatigue, of giving away of yourself all the time. So you have to save some of that energy, some of those thoughts, some of those ideas for you. That's why I tell people, like, when you journal, that's like what your gratitude journal is. That's just for you. That's not energy that goes out into the world. That's not for nothing else except for what your own thoughts and everything that you want to share there. That is for nobody else. And that is for something that is something for you. It's the same thing with what you're doing when you create. Keep some of those things for yourself. And when you start feeling that feeling of overwhelm from wanting to become a creator and building influence, and I love people that build influence and use it for good, there's also a point for you that you have to stop yourself and say, okay, what is my intention now? Like, I always am someone who constantly evaluates my life. I take these little timestamps, like we do when creating video and content, right? We take timestamps. I take a timestamp and I go, where am I at in my journey right now? Do I need to be creating? Maybe not. Maybe it's time for me to step away from this all, go look at life, get the big picture again. Sometimes that's the thing that kind of reinvigorates you and gets that spark later back on, but you got to find a point when that is for you to step away. And for all those content creators say, well, social media is what I do. It's my career. Great. That's what the things like repurposing of something you've already done comes in handy. You don't always have to go back out there and do these things over and have all these videos and posts and everything that you're creating. Take the things that you've already created in the past, look at them again, reimagine, like use that. That's where to me, that's where you find value in what you've already created, is that you can go back and say, you know what, I need this time to step away. But in the meantime, if I'm doing social media because I'm a, whatever influencer, I'm a social media manager, whatever it is, you have these tools that you can go ahead and continue to use. It's not going to weigh on you both mentally, emotionally, physically, all the things that can happen with content creation. I've seen people like break down, literally break down because, they don't know what to do anymore. They don't know how to say, stop. I need a boundary.
They're spent. They're just spent.
It is. And I think and just about everybody that's been a creator on just about any, especially here on LinkedIn as well, where we create content geared towards a more professional or business oriented value audience, there's still a point where we need to have a little space for ourselves to say, okay, I've created a lot of value. Look, if you want to go back and see what I've done, here's my trail to go see if you want to go learn from some of the things I've done in the past. I need a break for me. It's like when you don't work just a straight 8-hour day and go home. You have a period where you take lunch or you take a break in between there. And it's the same thing in what you do as a content creator. Take the time to step away from it. I've seen people come back with even more vigor. They come back with more stamina. They come back with more gusto in what they do. And it's because, we all got to find that time for ourselves to go, what I say, stop and smell the proverbial roses. Stop. Take a minute. Slow down. Life, the whole thing of saying, you got to slow down and speed up. That's life. That's it. There's truth to it.
Yes.
So,
And we want that work-life balance. Like, I know I took the entire month of August off. It was almost like I'd almost done 3 years. Actually, I had done 3 years of lives every single day for 3 years. Oh, not every single day, every single week. And I wanted to take a month off. I wanted to go away. I went up to Canada, I went on a vacation, and I wanted it to be a vacation. I did not want to do any lives while I was on the road. You can do that, but I didn't want to. And I never posted. I didn't say, here's me in Toronto, here's me at Niagara Falls, because the reason why I didn't want to do that is I didn't want to invite LinkedIn on my vacation. I just wanted my vacation to be me and my son. That's it. I didn't want the world. I didn't see anybody. I didn't do meetups. I just was a mom for 2 weeks. And the wonderful thing is that I also realized that if I had posted, I would feel compelled to engage, because people would comment, "Oh, look at you. You look like you're having so much fun." I would have engaged, and I went, I don't want to post and ghost. So if I don't want to engage, that means I don't want a conversation. So why make it a push out of, here's me, just step back, enjoy your life. And I did for an entire month. It was wonderful.
absolutely. Right. And again, even as school children, we're given that break in between where we have that summer and we come back and things change. And that's us just needing time for ourselves and needing a break away from it all. Now, I know as we get into adulthood, we don't have that option all the time, but even in doing what we're talking about here and creating social media and wanting to do, whether it's audios, videos, or written copy, again, part of me has always said that I've experienced the thing of burnout, because I got excited when I first got into doing live video, and yes, I was doing it every day, and I probably
100. You did 100 days of video. Like, I did 100 videos over 2 years. You did it in 100 consecutive days, which was amazing. But oh my gosh!
And I think what this last season that I did, my what I had learned lessons from the previous years when I'd done it is that I knew that I had to put myself on a start point and an end point. There had to be a finite moment where everything was going to end, and I planned it out that way, because I had done my first 2 seasons where I just started doing things like willy-nilly without really a strategic plan, and went and just started doing it. And that goes to feed it. What we do as video strategists, we tell people, just get started, right?
Right.
Okay.
Go live. Just go live.
Just go, right? And we push individuals to do there. I've kind of revised that a little bit and say, just get started, but have yourself a point where you have a threshold or a boundary that you're not willing to cross. Make that line in the sand and say, okay, I'm not going to go past that any further stuff. I need to do 10 of these. Okay, just do 10. Be done with it. Go back, reevaluate. If you liked what you did, go back in and come back in full ready. If not, okay, that's your lesson you took away and said, I didn't want to do this anymore. I thought I was. People can, people can go in and, like I said, I went in overboard. And I learned what it was to burn myself out, and it really took a toll on me, both mentally, physically, and emotionally, and even in my life. So it affected me in so many ways, because I got consumed with doing this. I got consumed doing what I thought I was meant to do. And yes, I'm meant to do this, but it doesn't mean I have to, again, give everything, to selling myself out, right? To just giving everything of me. And, like I said, I hope, the one thing that I hope that anybody's taken out of anything that I've done is that no matter what, you can always stop what you're doing and change course and change the direction of your life. Nothing is permanent. Only thing permanent in your life is death. And until you reach that point, hey man, all bets are off the table. You can change on a dime. I've seen people go from the worst parts of life and addiction to turning their lives around. And it's the beauty of what we are as human beings. And it's why it's the greatest thing of getting to be a content creator.
Yes.
Is that we get to go out and, again, share what it is that we love and bring value, entertainment. I always tell this, people, you are an entertainer. If you're doing a live video, whether it's coming with a purpose and intention and bringing value, you are an entertainer. I love that. You're here as part of a greater collective of people, but you are an entertainer.
I love that. I love that. And I think that, the takeaway for me from what you just said is that at the end of the day, this was an opportunity. Even the burnout, even the fatigue itself is an opportunity to kind of step back and say, what works? What worked? What didn't work? If I was to do something again, would I, maybe I'd say, I really loved having the parameters of, I set up my guests and I celebrate your wins for what you'd accomplish, because you accomplished so much, and then just say, and now what have I learned from this? What are the takeaways that moving forward, I say, okay, I got all this wealth of information. Gabe, to be honest with you, maybe the takeaway is you go write a book now. You said you love reading books. You go write a book and you say 100 lessons from 100 lives. What did I learn? And it's the bigger picture. And so it's like sometimes we just take these experiences and we say, oh, well, yeah, this was so much, but nothing is ever a fail. It's always about, what have I learned from this so that I can move forward? And I do want to, speaking of moving forward, I want to bring our third leg into a live, because this to me is always the part about the lives, is the community. And Gabe, 100 lives, you built a huge community. And I don't mean a paid community. I'm talking about the networking and community of people that showed up. I was a guest and on your live, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it was a party. It was the party every time. So here's some of our guests to the party today. So we got Tina. She says, the best live stream experts in the same live conversation, not to be missed. And this is, to me, I know that, like, you've talked about Russ Johns, and we're both major Pirate fans. We love the Pirate. Yep. And this is what's so nice about, in my opinion, about LinkedIn, because I don't really know like YouTube creators as much as I do LinkedIn, but it's like, we know so many people in the same space. You and I have been on, a LinkedIn audio event. I think it was with Ilya Francis, and we had Russ Johns, we had Cher. I don't even remember. I might be missing. Yeah, Juma's on it, and you just went, okay, there's like all these people in one place. I think we're going to break the internet. Like, it was just amazing, but nobody's competitive. Everybody has a different slant and, whatever. So I love this.
Well, that's the best thing about it, Gillian, is that every word's been written, every note's been played, but it's how you arrange them and what it's going to kind of resonate with the person that's listening and consuming it. So my message might not work for some, but for you, boom, you hit them right to the core. And that's just the thing about what's lovely about content creation. We can talk about sometimes the same thing. It's how it resonates with the person that's listening. And that's the key to me.
Exactly. And the nice thing too is I recommend live stream experts to clients. Somebody might come to me and I'll say, that's not my specialty, but so-and-so, go to so-and-so. And when they get the job, I'm like, woo, happy days. Because you just go, we can't do everything. So this is good. So we've got the wonderful Jeff Young, who you know Jeff, you love Jeff. So he says he's been following Gabe's CC creative content out here for a long time. Nice to see you both together. So that's wonderful.
Namaste,
Jeff. Thank you. We have Mary Wu. it. I don't know what that means, but that's okay. That's okay. So we have Marcia, and she's another big fan. Oh, here we go. It's
Tuesday. There you go. We got.
It's
She was making.
Tuesday.
Hey, she was making it suspenseful for us.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Mary. Oh, we've got Dan Roth. So like we know we've hit the big time when Dan comes to my
exactly.
show because he's one of your many supporters. You've done a lot of stuff with Dan. What sometimes I have to read his comments because you never know what Dan's going to say. He's a little
exactly.
He's being very well behaved in a
cheeky
meeting, but he's here supporting. So that's just awesome. That's just awesome. We have so many. I've been following you. Oh, we got duplicates. Oh, isn't that weird how all of a sudden you get duplicates like that? Jackie says, wow, I was just thinking about this topic last night. Thank you for creating this video for us. And it's one of those things where people go, why am I feeling the burnout and the fatigue? And the nice thing is, isn't this fun? I love when families hop into the live. It's always good. It's always good.
Well, this is my lovely girlfriend. So she's the one that's kind of fueled part of the reason why I loved stepping away for a while, because she brought so much love and comfort to my life that I just felt like I don't want to rush back to creating content.
Well, and I love too, like we haven't talked about this, Gabe, but I love how your content is varied, because I have to tell you, I was scrolling through the news feed and I saw you in the suit with the bacon.
Oh my God.
You did you did like a graphic of you in like you wearing a suit. You were like, we all have a goal, right? And I laugh because to me, it was like a Seth Godin purple cow moment, like when he talks about like, you look at something and it's like, he talks about silk, silk organic, which is like not milk. And yet they put it in the milk section and it's like milk, not milk. And so I'm like, live. That's to me. Gabe is live. And then it's all of a sudden, no, it's not. No, Gabe is about bacon suits. Gabe is about having LinkedIn audio events. So that's new. So is that a challenge to just say, hey, I want to change up what I'm doing as well?
Yeah. I mean, it was another way to just explore, again, different avenues of creating content. Because there are people who, again, what we do here in live video creation, there are some people that aren't comfortable with doing this. Like they don't want to get on camera. Okay. Maybe you're not the person that wants to be the wordsmith, but you still have a voice. So audio is another way to kind of just go down that path and go out there and create. I mean, that's part of why I've explored it from different avenues, because I know that not everything is going to work for one. What works for one may not work for another. So sometimes you just tell them, look, if it's not the video process, then maybe it's the audio process.
Right.
So learn and see if it's for you. If you like it, pursue it. If not, okay, go see what else that you can possibly do. But again, if you have a creative spirit inside of you, I mean, you're going to want to find a way to get it out into the world. And like I said, using your voice, no matter, again, whether it's written through your voice or through the power of video, you still have the ability to influence and change lives, not only your own, but the lives of other people.
I love that. And maybe at the end of the day, that's kind of the biggest takeaway is our content is our voice. And so every once in a while, you might have laryngitis, right? And that means
I've tried with strep throat. It just doesn't work. So, but that's the thing about it, is that no matter what, the people that surround your community and the people that show up here, they're going to show up no matter what. So whether you step away and you're gone for a month, 3 months, 6 months, I mean, you took a month off and then that Tuesday you came back on, they were there, boom, people were there. They were ready to tune in. They were ready to watch. They were ready to see what you were going to talk about. And that just kind of speaks to what you are as an individual and just the value of the people around you.
Yes. And I think too, it's about what's really the goal of why you're doing what you're doing. and don't chase the metrics. I think that can cause probably the biggest stress towards how people can be getting fatigue and getting burnout. Is they're like, I've got to get more likes. I've got, so that's when they see you got to post carousels. Everybody's posting carousels. That's the content to do right now. It's like, you have to stay in your own lane and find out what works for you, what works for your audience, and go with that. And if that's just like, all I want to do is lives, do lives. If you say all I want to do is audio, do audio. If you want to do text posts, do text posts. Or if you're a person who says, I like to just change it up, then change it up. It's like, stay in your own lane. And I think that the self-care, it all kind of comes together, because it's really self-awareness and self-care makes for a happier, healthier.
Again, that's going back to what I originally was just stating, is that you get comparative to yourself as a consumer, and you can do the same thing as a creator. You start seeing other creators and start thinking, oh, that's what I should do. And, like you said, I think
hamster wheel.
Yeah. Stay right where sometimes staying where you're at is perfectly fine. And, like I said, those around you who are going to show up will show up regardless. And that's the best thing about creating communities. And I've done it 3-4 different times. And each time the community's kind of changed, but it's the message never changes, and how I share myself and elaborate and just talk and share who I am. And I think that's the most beautiful part about it, is that the people who are meant to find you will find you.
Perfect. So we have reached the end of our 30 minutes, and it always just goes zipping by. So Gabe, thank you so much for being here today. Before we leave, do you have any kind of last words of wisdom you want to share with anybody?
Honestly, I just tell people, like I've always kind of wrapped up what I do at the end of my shows. It's just live, love, and serve like no one else, and you'll absolutely change the world around you. And I truly believe that. So follow any one of those if you want. It'll lead you down a wonderful path in life. And it's how I choose to try to live my own.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you, everybody who has joined in on the live, on the replays, on the podcast. We just appreciate you being a part of this conversation. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.